Hey there, English expanders. Today I'm going to show you 3 tips to speak English more fluently. My name is Agnes Jubonagy and I've been teaching English for 14 years now, and I've been an English teacher in a secondary school in Budapest. I've been preparing students for language exam since 2000, and believe me, I have many successful students. Right, each show is going to start with the question of the day. And the question of the day today is, when did you last speak in English? I mean, when did you last speak in English means that when did you last speak to a real foreigner in English? What situation was it? You know, I'm not really interested in when you talked to your friend in the classroom who was also Hungarian and you talked in English. When did you last speak to a real English person or a real foreigner in English? Write your answers in 1 or 2 sentences in the comments below. The last time I spoke English was 2 days ago. When I was walking with my son in Széll Kálmán Square in Budapest. You know, we live there nearby, and when we want to go somewhere, we always walk through Széll Kálmán Square. And there are lots of tourists, and every time in winter, in summer. But 2 days ago, I found a really lovely couple who looked absolutely lost. You know, they were in their maps, looking at their maps, they were looking around, feeling lost, and I went there and asked them, can I help you? And first they looked up and down, you know, they were scanning me if I'm dangerous or not, but then they saw that, this is a friendly lady, let's ask her for help. And then they asked where Buda Castle was and how could they go there. And I always go to tourists in Széll Kálmán Square because I know what they are looking for there. They want to go to Buda Castle, or they want to go to, I don't know, maybe they want to find the trams, 4 or 6, or they want to find the underground. So I always help them there. And the last time I spoke in English was 2 days ago with an Irish couple who complimented my English. And what about you? Let's look at the comments. I hope I can find the comments in my laptop because I'm really interested in your answers. But I don't know if I can see the comments here. Right, I can see myself, but I can't see the comments because I guess nobody posted a comment yet, but that's not a problem. Right, so the question of the day is, when did you last speak in English? And if you're here and if you understand me and you like what I'm talking about, then please click like or click a heart. I'm so nervous, it would do me a lot of good. Oh, Joët is here. And thank you for your compliment. He says, I would be happier if you commented in English, Joët. He says he's happy to see me speaking English. I'm happy to have you here too. Right. Thank you, József. I can see the comments. He just wrote, let me test it. Can you see the comment? Yes, I can. And welcome to my program. Now, let me tell you my 3 tips to speak English more fluently, and I hope you can use them right away from the time when we finish this show. My first tip is, find dialogues and read them out loud. That sounds boring, I know. And reading out loud is not the same as speaking naturally, I know. But you won't believe it how dramatically it can change your pronunciation, and you will learn how to pronounce the different words, and also you will feel the rhythm of English with that. Practice for 10 minutes a day read out dialogues for only 10 minutes a day or 5 minutes, and you will see drastical changes in your speaking. And also you will get used to the sentences used in real conversations, in real dialogues. And in that way, you will be a more confident language user. Now, where can you find dialogues? First, I'm going to put my recommendation in the comments after the show. But you can also find tons of useful dialogues in your student's book. You know, the ones you have on your shelf. The hundreds of them you have on your shelf, like New Headway or New English File or Traveler or whatever. So you should open up your book, and each unit is full of conversations, dialogues. At least there are 7 or 9 in a student's book. In English File, for example, there is a dialogue after every file. So 7 or 9 dialogues in a student's book. And by the way, talking about student's book, please write down which student's books have you used so far. I'm really interested because lots of my students, my online private students, say that I have hundreds of English books on my shelf. And then I ask, okay, but have you finished any of them? And then he says, or they say, okay, it's almost empty. I never used them. The old English teacher wanted to buy it, and we've never finished it. And what about you? Which English course books or students' books have you used so far? Let's see. Okay, thank you. Adrienne, I like listening to you. He said, Raymond Murphy, English Grammar in Use. Zoli, that's a wonderful book. Did you like it? But it's not really a course book where you can find dialogues, but it's a wonderful way to improve your grammar. All right. Okay. Any other comments? Let's see. Which student's book you've used? Maybe I can't see every comment, but that's not a big deal. I can come back to it later. So my first tip was to find dialogues and read them out loud. My next tip is a bit interesting because you would think it has nothing to do with speaking. But I always recommend this to my students because this helped me a lot to improve my English fluency. And this is listening to podcasts. I would recommend this tremendously because it helped me become a better speaker of English. It helped me become much more confident because when I listen to a podcast and I listen to a really interesting podcast, a person I like or I love or I admire, then I keep repeating their sentences, and I keep repeating the words they use. And believe it or not, I also get a different pronunciation when I listen to different people speaking English for a long time. What is a podcast, you might ask? A podcast is a kind of radio program, but it's not on the radio. It's in an application or a website. And do you need a fancy device to listen to a podcast? No, absolutely not. There's your smartphone. Use it. And if you have the internet at home, Wi-Fi, or the mobile internet when you're on the go, you can keep listening to podcasts. And sometimes they are also downloadable, so you don't need internet connection for them. And, it's not at a certain time, but you can listen to it anytime, not as a radio show. And then, podcast. How can you get a podcast? If you use an iPhone, you have a podcast application built in your smartphone. Hooray! If you use an Android, then you should go to Google Play, I guess. I'm not sure, but I think you should go to Google Play and download a podcast application. And so now what? How will you find your favorite? After downloading the application, you should go into the categories section, and there are like 20 categories, like entertainment, education, I don't know, some more other music and stuff like that. And go to the entertainment section or to the education section, where you can find the most useful and most popular language speaking podcasts. Not language speaking, but language learning podcasts in which they speak English. By the way, have you listened to any podcasts yet? Have you got favorite podcasts? Maybe you who are not beginners, but I also recommend listening to podcasts for beginners, at a very low level, because in that way you get used to the rhythm of English, which is wonderful. It's as wonderful as listening to Italian. So you will get used to listening to the rhythm of English. And believe it or not, you can learn different expressions or even whole sentences from a podcast. Let me tell you my example. My favorite podcast, and please write down your favorite podcast while I'm talking. My favorite podcast is BBC Learning English, BBC 6-Minute English. It's a 6-minute show. It doesn't take a lot of time, and usually there are two presenters talking, having a dialogue and teaching you some new vocabulary through a really interesting topic. For example, how much sleep do you need, or I don't know, cats, dogs, whatever topics. I can't list you the interesting topics I've listened to, and it's really useful because it's British English and teaches you a lot of useful vocabulary. But what you will learn from that is the complete sentences, how the presenters speak. And my other favorite podcast is Online Marketing Made Easy. That's not a language learning podcast. It's an online marketing podcast by Amy Porterfield. And I learned lots of useful expressions from there. My favorite is, are we on the same page? This means, are we talking about the same thing? So do you know where I am? Do you know what I'm talking about? Are we on the same page? This is what I learned from her podcast. Now let me see. I like BBC 6-Minute podcast too, says Judith. English like a native, says Jozef. It's Anna's channel. I really like it. That's great. I will have a look at it because I didn't know about that. Judith also said she likes podcasts, English learning podcasts. That's great. English like a native, she also mentioned it. And Jozef found the podcast on Android. That's great. That's great. Thank you for reassuring me with Android phones. Right, so far I recommended you listen to podcasts and read out English dialogues aloud. And my third tip, you will hate it. I know. I hated it too, but it did such wonderful things to my pronunciation and fluency that I also recommend this to each and every student I teach. And it's record yourself. Record your voice. But not just like now that I keep speaking. No. Do it like this. Listen to a real English speaker from a film, from series that you love. So listen to a real English speaker and then record your voice, repeating what they said, word by word, okay? And after recording your voice, stop it and play the real English person's recording again and compare your sentences and repeat it until you can do it or you can speak like the native English speaker. So listen to your favorite star saying a sentence, then take your smartphone, talk to the microphone, or you can even video yourself. That's great. You can shoot films about yourself speaking in English. And if you think your pronunciation is the same, then you can move on. If you think yours is a bit different, then try it again. And find interesting sentences that you want to repeat after your favorite star. Do it with a person you really like, or do it with a person whose accent or English you really admire, because in that way you will enjoy this horrible situation a lot. All right, with recording your voice, you can become more fluent and more self-confident, because from time to time you get the confidence. Believe it or not, my first live was like half a year ago, and I almost said a swear word, but I was terrible. But from that time on, I kept saying to myself that I will improve, I will try to do my best. And now I'm not shaking. I don't feel nervous anymore, because I can see you're here and I can see your comments, and I love that feeling. Right, thank you very much for being here. So, these were my 3 tips. Let's recap them again. The last one was listen to a real English speaker and then record your voice saying the exact words that he or she said. And I recommended to choose your favorite film or your favorite series. Another tip was to listen to podcasts, tons of good podcasts in the comments. And the first one was to find the dialogues and read them out loud. Now let me scroll through the comments, and until I find all the comments, please write down which tip will you use immediately right after the show. Okay, is it going to be reading out loud dialogues, listening to podcasts, or recording yourself on your smartphone? Chris said Jennifer's Clyde is it, Chris, your favorite podcast? Maybe. We don't know anything about this, so please write something to make it more understandable for us. Geza asked CNN TV channel, if you're interested in world news, then CNN is a wonderful way to improve your American English pronunciation or listening skills. You can watch it if you feel, you're keen on watching the news on TV. I must tell you, I hate it. But a lot of people are really into that topic. Judith said she liked the 6-Minute English podcast too. I'm happy to hear that. Oh, I lost all the comments. What happened? Right. Yes. Okay. Okay, I can't find the new ones, so let's make it refresh. Okay. Right. So, which tip did you like? Write them down in the comments. Which tip will you use immediately? Right. Okay. Now, if you want to have more tips, and if you have some questions, then you can watch my next show next Thursday at 6:30 sharp. You know, you see, I kept talking for 20 minutes, but I'm not going to be as long next. I'm not going to have such a long show next time, because I don't like making long shows. But if you have recommendations for me to use to have 3 tips on whatever topic you're interested in, then feel free to comment, and I will use your ideas. And another thing is that I can't find a very interesting name for this show. If you feel that you have tips for me to give a title for this show, go on, comment, share your idea with me. If it's not prohibited to use it, then I will, I'm sure. Each week I'm going to show up on Thursday, 6:30 p.m. and I'm going to give you my 3 really useful tips to speak English more fluently, to have a better listening exam result, or to have better marks in your exam. It's up to you what you would like to what topics you would like to listen about. And if you want to have more tips on my website, there are tons. If you like the video format, then go to English Expander, once again, englishexpander.net, and there you will find a free 3-part video series. Unfortunately, it's in Hungarian. I'm sorry. But there you get 3 videos which will make you a more confident candidate at the exam, at the speaking exam. But if you like reading my tips, then go to blog.englishexpander.net, where I give my tips in writing. Right. Okay. See you next week, and I will reply to your comments after the show, not in real life, because I don't know how to do it, how to look at the comments real life, but for next week I'm going to learn how to do that. And until that time, then see you soon, and have a wonderful summer, and have a wonderful summer evening. See you again soon. Bye. It would be very good to know how to stop the live video. I don't know. Let's have a look at it. Believe me, I'm not that horrible person.